Alrighty, so today I'm going to be talking about evil. I'm going to be talking about how evil actions occur, what makes evil actions occur, how the people involved in those actions, why they do it, what influenced them to do it, how an healthy-minded and just well-behaving citizen can actually commit to an evil crime out of thin air, out of nothing. And yeah, that's basically it. So first off, I'm gonna be talking about this lovely fellow Zimbardo and his Lucifer effect. Zimbardo's Lucifer effect is it could short be summed up by saying that it is what makes a person do a wrongdoing or an evil action, and how the environment around him or the new given position of power can have an influence on him and can quite drastically change his view of looking at things. Like an unhealthy-minded citizen, as I mentioned before, could murder or kill somebody or steal an old lady's car, and just why they would all of a sudden do such a thing. Zimbardo has this theory called the Lucifer effect that explains that it is the environment and the new position of power given to that person that can like drive something in these people and change their point of view. He shows this in what he called the Stanford University experiment. The experiment was basically these students who got assigned to a post in an experiment. They were either a prison guard or an inmate when they got assigned the role that they had to play for the next week or so, the next 2 weeks. Then they would play on the then they would play on in the school's basement that would have been rearranged and decorated so it looked like a real prison. But what they would do is that the prison guard would boss around the inmates just like a normal prison, and the inmates had to follow and do as they were told by these prison guards. If the inmates did not follow or did not do as they were told, the guards were free to punish them in any way they wanted. Like they were supreme, what to call it, power there. They were the supreme rulers. They could do anything that they wanted them to. They could make them, take away their food or something like that. The guards were they were given this new position of power that they would not have in their everyday life elsewhere. Like a college student would not usually be able to boss around with 7 other students and take away their food or their sleep or something like that. So this experiment was to show how the everyday person would then act if given tremendous amounts of power, and just show that unhealthy citizen or a good person actually can act and may act very differently from what they would have done otherwise. The experiment got shut down shortly after because these prison guards actually were treating these inmates so harsh and so wrong that they they had no choice but to shut it down. But it got to show that there definitely was a change in how the healthy citizen and the good person acted before the new power that they was given. Going hand in hand with this experiment is one of Zimbardo's other theories as well, which contains a lot of eyeballs, you could say. The theory is basically three terms that describes why a person or explains why the one person commits to an evil crime and puts the evil crime or the environment around him in a specific box. He starts off with one of the terms, the first term actually, called the bad apple, which is the individual. The one guy who, out of the blue, decides to steal a TV, or kill a person, or like just do something evil and commit to it out of nothing, and like without really anyone telling him to do so or anything like that, but just like the individual doing something evil because they feel like doing something evil. The second term is the bad barrel of apples, the situational, you could call it, the persons who acts evil because they are forced to. They are in this situation that they do not have any choice but to act evil. It could be people who themselves would be killed if they do not kill somebody, or if they do not steal or just do something evil that they normally wouldn't do. Then they are forced to do it, but it is a situational thing that they normally quite likely wouldn't do. They are, somewhat forced to do it. Then we have the bad barrel maker. And the bad barrel maker is a greater understanding for the political system that could have influenced this group to do such a thing, or it could be just a greater power, economics, politics, money, things really driving persons to do evil things. And like bad barrel makers, they are it's hard to explain, but they basically are the higher power that makes the situation that the bad apples stand in. It could be the economic it could be the political system, or the political ways, or the politicians who could have influenced and inspired these people to do a very horrible thing. And that it's a greater understanding for the bad barrel maker. Then we also have Gorvete. I don't know how to say her name, but she also has a theory called the threshold model, and this could be explained by a glass of water. So the threshold model is basically that we would not normally do a wrongdoing, but since so many people are doing it, we think to ourselves that, alright, this actually might be okay. I can do this. I'm not the only one doing this. If so many people are doing it, then it wouldn't be quite wrong, would it? I have this example. One of my teachers did a very, very horrible thing once. It was devastating. It was terrible. He was at a football game, and the team that he really liked, they won. They actually won. It was quite surprising that they did so, but they won the match. And the fans then afterwards, after the match was over, they started running out to the field. And when they ran out to the field, lots of other people began to do so as well. My teacher then thought to himself, like, this is not okay. But eventually, so many people had run out to the field that he was like, alright, this might not be that bad. If it was that bad, why would so many people do this? and he himself started running out onto the field. Running onto the field could actually give you a ticket. You actually pay like 10,000, no, not 10,000, but like thousands of crowns to do so, and it was quite clear that this was not a thing you were supposed to do. But since so many people did it, his threshold got conquered, and eventually the glass of water overflowed, and he did so himself. He ran out to the field, and he participated in the, not necessarily evil doing, but the wrongdoing that the other people around him started and participated in. We could draw a parallel to this threshold model to the story The Lottery. The Lottery is a story about a small town who has this weird tradition where they pick a family every year. They draw from a black box, and then they pick a family's name. The family then gets put back into the box with all the members of the family's name in it, and then they get picked up one by one. And eventually one of the family members' notes or papers where their name is written on it has a black mark, and the one who has that gets killed by the other townsfolk. The person actually gets stoned, if you want to be specific. But we could use the threshold model in this story as well, because we actually read that but some people in this town actually do not think that this is an okay thing to do. They think that this is terrible, but since so many people are doing it, they do so themselves, and they are conquered by the evil doing, and their threshold is conquered. I said that a lot of times there, but yeah, the threshold of the individual is then conquered because so many people are doing it, and they are actually killing somebody slowly and very painfully just because that some people got up with this weird idea centuries ago. So yeah, that was my explanation of evil and how the environment and people around the healthy-minded citizen can actually commit to evil and wrongdoings. Yeah, that was it. I think so.